Okay, so we will start with web basics. So I think it's important to learn this technology because it's how we operate in the world. So I think it's like the new electricity of our world. So it's really fundamental to understand the basic principles of web technology. So yeah, the first topic that we will discuss is client and server. Second would be the URL structure. It's how client connect to a server. Third is DNS and IPv4 and IPv6. Fourth, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Fifth is the software stacks. So first, the client and server. So this is the basic structure of client and server. The client usually is your PC or your mobile phone you use to request to a web application, and then the web application will return your request. So second is the URL structure. So this is the usual URL structure. So if you guys type like facebook.com, this HTTPS or the protocol is actually um, automatically filled by the browser, like Google Chrome or any browser that you use. And then the host is the facebook.com or garrett.com. So this is a converted URL already. So this is usually a long set of numbers. It's usually IPv4. And then the port, it's usually included by default on whether you use HTTPS or HTTP. So port for HTTP is 80. So that's port of your server, this server, and then this is the path to locate the resource on your server. Like this is like the directory structure. So for example, this full stack, this is the usual structure of web application, guys, or websites. So usually you start with the this folder, full stack React projects. So these full stack React projects, when you go to the chapter one and then go to the SRC, this path full stack React CH1 to SRC is actually the path that the URL use. So this is actually that path. And this query is actually the individual code on the app. So for example, this I'll open main.jsx. So this is like the code. So that's how you code it using the code that your software stack use. So I'll give you an example, guys. But first, that's the URL structure. Um, and then the query language, the query. So that's actually the query on the path, right? And then the fragment is included on the query. So that's the URL structure. So the DNS, guys, and IPv4 and IPv6, one of the best way to understand this is to see an IPv4 address. So this is my website, a blogging website that I created. So this is a sample of IPv4 address that has not been converted yet to this type of name, because to register this and to be more human readable, uh, you need to pay for a hosting domain. You need to host it on a domain provider. So yeah, that's the DNS, and then the IPv4. So the IPv6, it's rarely used but it's usually used for more complex application. But yeah, it's rarely used on websites. HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So for client and server, so basically this HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Um, this HTML and CSS could be think of as a client. So I think one of the best way to explain this is using a restaurant metaphor. So the server is actually the kitchen and the chef that provide or serve the client. So the client is usually the customer. So the HTML is like the plate. So let's see this. It's like actually the plate, the shape of the plate. So there, I think, yeah, what's the, yeah, here. So this is the chef. This is actually the server, and then the HTML is like the shape. It could be a plate. It could be circle. It could be rectangle. It could be diamond, right? And the CSS is like the dressing. The dressing could be that broccoli that you put on the plate, and the JavaScript is like the dynamic code or how the chef uh, process different menu at the same time, right? So that's the JavaScript. That's just an introduction, but there's a lot of nuance on that. HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So HTML and alone could have an entire course on itself. CSS could have that as well, and JavaScript. So software stock is like the MERN stock. So MERN stock basically the software stock MERN stock is a combination of technology used to create a website. So for this app, blogging website that I created, I use a main stock. So that's MongoDB for my database, Express.js for routing, React.js for the front end, Node.js for the server. So that's the stock. So you can think of this Node.js as like the kitchen. So it's like it hosts your server. And then the Express.js, you can think of this as like a waiter. It routes the order or the menu that the client or customer requests to the chef. So the chef is included here in Node.js. React.js, this is the JavaScript uh, that and HTML and CSS that is in the front end. So here, yeah, that's the front end that is served on the client. So that's the React. And then the MongoDB, it's like a database. It's like the refrigerator in the kitchen. It's where you store all the ingredients for the chef to cook later. So yeah, that's the basic of web application. And then next, we'll go to the more details with those technologies.